ያህል ይሰማኛል። አሁን ጥሩ ነገር ነው የሚሰማኝ ዶክተር ተቀበል ነው ወዲህ
नहीं होता था, मगर अब सारी जो टीचर्स हैं अच्छे तरीके से पीरियड लेती हैं और हम रोज़ाना
The education of women and girls is extremely important. Girls make up for more than 50% of those 75 million children currently denied primary education, and women form the vast majority of the 776 million illiterate persons worldwide, a proportion that is unchanged over the past 2 decades. Education plays an important role as a function for girls developing towards adult life. Education helps lead to cultural changes, allowing them to make decisions and influence community change in key areas. Basic education also contributes to better health by providing women and girls with an understanding of basic health, nutrition, and family planning, giving them the power to govern their own lives and bodies. In addition, it leads to poverty reduction. Education will help eliminate the vicious cycle girls succumb to when they are excluded from their labor force.
Improving girls' education and creating universal access is a massive component of the UN Millennium Development Goals. The Millennium Development Goals are 8 international development goals that were established following the Millennium Summit in 2000. Recently, the World Bank established a report about girls' education and has found that although there have been great gains in female education, girls' education is still lagging behind. Of the 600 million girls in the developing world, 42% of girls in the developing world are out of school. In 1999, around 106 million children were out of primary school. Almost 61 million, or 58%, were girls, compared to 45 million, or 42%, that were boys. In 2009, around 35 million girls were still out of school, compared to 31 million boys. Differences in girls' education differs around the world. Of those out-of-school girls, the majority of them live in sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia. Almost one-half of the world's out-of-school girls are in sub-Saharan Africa, and around one-fourth are in South Asia. In South Asia, research has found that the region's total number of out-of-school girls has dropped from 23 million in 1999 to 9.5 million in 2008. In sub-Saharan Africa, the number of out-of-school girls has decreased, but more slowly, from 25 million in 1999 to 17 million in 2008. In order to further assess girls' education, the World Bank and the United Nations have examined literacy rates among girls and boys in the developing world. Globally, there is still a large gender gap in youth literacy rates, although the gap has been shrinking over time. This gap in subsequent data seems to show that fewer girls are emerging from education systems with basic literacy skills. Literacy rates have been very important in assessing a country's education and development standards. This graph shows the countries with the greatest number of female out-of-school children, according to a UN report conducted in the year 2010. For our exploration of poverty in the developing world and its linkage to girls' education, we will be focusing on Yemen. Yemen is located in the Middle East and is bordered by Saudi Arabia and Oman. Yemen was ranked number 7 with over 600,000 girls out of school in that 2010 UN report. The Human Development Index ranks Yemen number 151 out of 177 countries, giving it the lowest HDI rank among the Arab states. Yemen has had a negative 10.4 GDP growth rate, according to the UN report in 2011. In 2010, it was reported that 38.9% of people in Yemen were living below the poverty line. Unemployment is estimated to be 52.9% for people aged between 15 and 24, and 44.4% for people aged 25 to 59. In regards to education in Yemen, as little as 5% of Yemen's GDP goes towards education expenditures. The average years of schooling for children is 8 years. Of the nation's population, the combined gross enrollment in education for both male and female is roughly 54%. Due to the high levels of poverty and gender inequality, many young girls and women have been unable to receive an education in Yemen. We wanted to focus on projects being done by the World Bank through the International Development Assistance Program, IDA, in Yemen to improve girls' education and alleviate poverty.
The International Development Association, IDA, is a part of the World Bank and is one of the largest sources of assistance for the world's 82 poorest countries. Established in 1960, IDA aims to reduce poverty by providing loans and grants for programs that boost economic growth, reduce inequalities, and improve people's living conditions. IDA lends money on concessional terms. This means that IDA charges little or no interest and repayments are stretched over 25 to 40 years. IDA-financed operations deliver positive change for 2.5 billion people, the majority of whom survive on less than $2 a day. Since its inception, IDA has supported activities in 108 countries. For the fiscal year ending on June 30, 2012, IDA commitments reached $14.8 billion, spread over 160 new operations. As a multi-issue institution, the International Development Association supports a range of development activities, such as primary education, basic health services, clean water and sanitation, environmental safeguards, infrastructure, and institutional reforms, which all pave the way toward equality, economic growth, job creation, higher incomes, and better living conditions. The World Bank Group recently pledged to add $400 million to its ongoing $700 million program of support for Yemen. This is a graph that shows how much the World Bank Group has lent to the Republic of Yemen over the past several years. The International Development Association also recently announced 3 new projects. One of these projects will focus on building schools and training teachers to promote equal access to quality education. This project is an extension of the first basic education project that was initiated in 2004 and ended in December 2012. Funded by $66 million, the second basic education project will provide training to 68,000 teachers, headmasters, and supervisors across the country. It will also promote equal access to quality education in 8 governorates. Within these governorates, the project will focus on building and equipping about 500 additional classrooms in overcrowded schools, rehabilitating close to 150 cluster schools, recruiting and training 700 rural female teachers, and providing financial assistance to poor families in rural areas to encourage girls' education.
كل فصل أنا عن نفسي يوم درست 2 بس في الفصل. عادات وتقاليد، اختلاط الرجل بالمرأة عندنا حرام، ما يصلح، الزواج المبكر. الآن بعد ما تعلمنا ودخلنا في هذه الدورات التدريبية التأهيلية حتى إلى تشجيع تعليم
The World Bank and IDA-supported Basic Education Project introduced a number of new initiatives, such as conditional cash transfers to girls, school-based management grants, and the expansion of the education system at all levels, dropping the literacy rate from 90% to 45%. A new scheme has also been introduced to facilitate the qualification and recruitment of female teachers in rural areas, to improve the rate at which girls stay in school. Since the launch of the program, the gross enrollment ratio for girls in primary school increased from 51% in 2001 to 78% in 2009. 2,557 additional classrooms were built between 2001 and 2006, leading to better learning environments. School fees for girls in primary school were abolished by the Ministry of Education in 2008, and 1,000 new female teachers were contracted and deployed in target areas in 2008. Although considerable progress is being made towards improving girls' educational opportunities with World Bank and IDA support, providing more than 90 million out-of-school girls with access to quality education is a challenging task. Yemen's Millennium Development Goal of achieving 100% primary school enrollment by 2015 is particularly challenging due to the country's significant population growth and deep poverty. Gender equity is also a major issue in Yemen. Fewer girls than boys enroll in school, particularly in rural areas, and many tend to be overage and most drop out before completing basic education. Lack of female teachers is another factor that results in low enrollment and retention of girls in schools. Higher teacher absenteeism and insufficient teaching materials also pose a challenge in the expansion of quality education in Yemen. Despite these obstacles faced by the program, good foundations are being laid, and much can be built on them. Ongoing and future efforts should aim at increasing country-level commitment to this issue. Increasing understanding and knowledge of the economic and social returns to girls' education is crucial to inform policy decisions. Future efforts should also aim at further expanding initiatives to increase educational access, such as prioritizing funding for girls' schools. And lastly, future efforts should aim at continuing the emphasis on improving the quality and relevance of education offered in schools. For countries like Yemen, the increased availability of female teachers is critically important in boosting girls' enrollment and retention rates. These efforts need to be implemented with increased urgency and commitment to fulfill the promises to meet Millennium Development Goals in providing a quality education for girls, and ultimately towards a better future for all.